And if anything, like for a lot of people, I think that doing poorly could shake their confidence before going into the test. Hey, welcome to the r/LSAT thread of the week, where we go through a thread from the r/LSAT subreddit and look for some advice that we think you could incorporate into your studying. I'm Eric. I'm one of the tutors here at 7.
And I'm Jake. I'm also a tutor here at 7 Sage. Today we have a post from Cherry Bomb. It says, how do you warm up for studying? He says, basically the title, do you guys just jump straight into studying, or do you read before? Do you drill for a bit? If so, what? Just curious. Me personally, I read for 30 minutes and then drill for a bit before taking either a practice test or working on what I feel like I need to work on. So it sounds like he's looking for some advice on how to warm up. Eric, how did you warm up when you were studying for the test?
Yeah, I mean, when I was studying for the test, I would definitely do like a warm up before PTs, and I continued this into my actual takes of the LSAT. I don't know that I did so much warm up before like drilling because I mostly did untimed drilling. I think the warm up is really valuable for time situations where you want to eliminate warming up during the actual take, right? You know, if you go into a PT and you haven't done a warm up of any sort, those first 5 to 10 questions, that is going to be your warm up, right? Except the clock is ticking. I don't think that issue presents itself so much during untimed practice, but I always used to do a warm up. What about you?
Yeah, I would do the same. I felt like I did more LR warm up than I did RC because I was trying to avoid any of that burnout, and I feel like knocking out like an entire RC passage was kind of a lot. But I would typically grab maybe 2 or 3 pretty easy LR questions, especially ones that I've done already and I'm pretty familiar with, and just kind of like spend 5-10 minutes working through them untimed to kind of get myself acquainted with what I'm doing for the day.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think, well, reading for 30 minutes sounds like an RC section to me,
It does.
practically.
I think if you wanted to do that, I would be cool with like I've had students before who want to read like a New York Times article or something like that before they're jumping into some RC, and I think that's good because you're kind of getting your frame of mind into that reading, but it's a short article, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would do a full 30 minutes. It's totally up to the person, right? But I think just that shorter segment is what you're shooting for. Like a 5 to 10 minutes is a sweet spot, I think.
Yeah, let's take a look at this comment from Flat Crazy 1494. They say, I found that I PT'd better if I did a drill based on my wrong answer journal first and studied better if I started by filling out my wrong answer journal with drills or PTs from the day before. I even did a drill right before my actual LSAT. Yeah, me too, right? In terms of right before the actual LSAT. Let's see. User John Muller says, how do you drill wrong answers? 7 Sage. Flat Crazy 1494 says, yes, I would use my wrong answer journal to figure out the type and level of difficulty of questions that I miss most, then do a medium length combo drill of those types at either a level harder or easier, depending on what I was doing / my mood. I did an easier drill before my actual LSAT because it was just to get me in the right headspace, but harder drills if I felt like it would motivate me to do better if I did poorly or boost my confidence if I did well, i.e. no matter how well I did, it would be beneficial. I would say I think like a lot of this is good advice. I didn't necessarily do like drills based on my wrong answer journal or things that I got wrong. I would usually just try and take 5 to 10 LR questions that I had seen recently and put them in a drill to just go through them and kind of reinitiate my mind into the thought processes so that I'm not having to do that in real time on the test. I think if for this person, sort of taking a harder drill and then checking the results feeds them motivation either way based on the result, then, more power to them. I personally would recommend that probably for a lot of people with this drill, I don't think you need to like look at the results of the drill.
Hmm.
And if anything, like for a lot of people, I think that doing poorly could shake their confidence before going into the test. I think the aim of this in my mind is just to like get the juices flowing. But I think by and large, like these are good pieces of advice and a good way to structure your drill. I think that, doing it around the wrong answer journal is not a bad idea, right? Because then it is kind of getting those mistakes front of mind.
No, yeah, I agree. Something I also used to do is rather than redoing any questions or anything like that, just looking to see any trends in questions I got wrong. So if on like my last PT I got 3 sufficient assumption questions wrong for the same reason, I might just like review that reason for like 2 seconds and make sure it's on the front of my mind when I see those essay questions so that I hopefully don't make the same mistake again. I don't know if that's necessarily a warm up, but just to kind of like prime my frame of mind to not make the same mistakes again.
Yeah. I mean, I think again what it all kind of comes down to is you don't want to be figuring out how to take the test in the test, right?
Exactly.
It's just going to cost you time, it's going to cost you mental energy, and those are things that you kind of want to be using to their maximum while you're on the test. So I think a warm up is a good idea that people should incorporate. Any final thoughts, Jake?
No, I completely agree. I think that you had it right by saying just a few questions. You don't necessarily have to check whether they were right or wrong just to get yourself in that frame of mind. You're really shooting for that like short 5-10 minutes just to kind of get yourself, right in the right headspace. So I totally agree.
Yeah, and I'll just say to kind of close out, like it could be like 5 to 10 LR questions, and then maybe like a passage or two, right, from our
Exactly.
just stuff you've seen recently, so that you're not using new material for this, but just kind of to put you back in that LSAT headspace. But I think that's it for this week. So see you guys next time.
See you guys.